W.D. Gann. Now there's a name that pretty much every trader knows. He's a legend, famous for an almost spooky ability to call market tops and bottoms. Today, we're going to dig into some source material that claims to have cracked one of his most powerful and, frankly, most misunderstood techniques.
And listen, this isn't just another theory somebody dreamed up. The source material we're looking at is dead certain, like absolutely convinced, that what we're about to unpack is one of the three main systems Gann himself used to build that incredible reputation.
For decades, right? People have been pulling their hair out trying to figure this guy out. His methods, they're wrapped up in all this talk about geometry and astrology, and honestly, it's a rabbit hole that's confused a lot of people. But it all boils down to one simple question. How on earth did he nail those market turns so perfectly?
Well, according to our source, the whole problem starts at the very beginning. Most analysts and traders are basically using the wrong map from the get-go. And it's a map that Gann might have known was a dead end for everyone else, but not for him. You know the conventional wisdom, right? To analyze any market, you've got to have its birth chart. But which birthday do you use? The day the company was formed? The first day it traded on an exchange? Nobody can agree. And that leads to a total mess. Different charts, results all over the place, and a lot of people just throwing their hands up and saying, none of it works.
Okay, and this is where everything flips on its head. The whole idea we're digging into today is stop guessing. Just stop. Don't force a date onto the market. Instead, you have to listen to the market. Let the price action itself tell you what date it's really tuned into.
So you can see this is a complete 180-degree turn in approach. We're moving away from just assuming something and into pure mathematical investigation. The big claim here is that the real starting point, its true signature, is hiding right there in the price data. You just have to know the secret to finding it. So the natural question is, how do you find it? Well, the tool is something called the 15-degree axis. I love this analogy. It's kind of like using a stud finder on a wall. The price chart looks like a random, chaotic mess, but this tool, it finds the hidden structure underneath. It shows you that specific points on that 360-degree zodiac wheel are all connected, like they're singing the same note.
And what's wild is how simple the concept actually is. You just pick any point on the 360-degree wheel. Let's say 9 degrees of Taurus, for example. Then you just add 15 degrees. Then add 15 again. You do this all the way around the circle. What you end up with is this web of connected hot spots. The theory is that a planet crossing any of those spots will trigger a similar reaction in the market. It's pretty incredible.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but does this stuff actually hold up in the real world? Well, to find out, researchers grabbed a massive pile of data for Chicago soybeans and decided to put this whole idea to the test. And they did not mess around. This wasn't some cherry-picked study. We're talking 55 years of daily data. They pinpointed 192 of the biggest, most obvious turning points, the really major highs and lows. The whole point was to see if there was a hidden pattern connecting all these massive moves. So here's how they did it. For every single one of those 192 turns, they looked at where the slow-moving outer planets were, the big ones, often linked to major trend shifts. Then they took all that data and crunched it using that 15-degree axis idea. And to get super precise, they sliced each degree into these tiny 10-minute bands to find the exact zones that got hit over and over again. And the results? Whoa. They were not random. Not even close. The hits all clumped together in just a few key hot spots. For instance, one tiny little zone got hit 158 times. But here's the real kicker. The zones right next to it also had a crazy high number of hits. That's not a fluke. That tight clustering, according to the source, is the mathematical proof. They found a real, live, vibrational point for soybeans.
And now, here's the bombshell. The researchers took these mathematically proven hotspots, and they went and checked Gann's public chart for soybeans, the one that everybody uses. And guess what? Those points weren't there, not even close. It was like the market was playing a completely different song than the one on the sheet music everyone was reading.
So what does this all mean? Well, it's not just some cool historical fact. The source argues that this is a powerful, practical tool you can use right now. And the best part? You don't even need to know the real birth date of the market to use it.
But okay, there's one little snag. It's called the orb problem. Knowing a hotspot is great, but if a really slow planet like Neptune wanders into that zone, well, it can hang out there for weeks, even months. That gives you this huge window where a turn might happen, but that's not the kind of laser-focused timing Gann was known for. So you end up in this really frustrating spot where you know a big move is probably on the horizon, but when? Is it tomorrow? Next week? Next month? It's just too vague.
And that's the classic problem with trying to time things using only those slow-moving planets.
Here's the solution, and it's brilliant. For timing, you forget about the slowpokes. Instead, you focus on the fast movers: Mercury, Venus, Mars, and the Sun. These guys are zipping around so fast that when they cross one of those proven hotspots, they're in and out in about a day. And just like that, you have a system that can flag potential turning points down to the exact day.
Now, as powerful as that timing method is, it's really just the first level. According to our source, Gann hid the rest of his system in the last place anyone would ever think to look: inside a novel.
You have to remember, Gann's whole worldview was built on this law of vibration. The idea that everything, and he meant everything, including the stock market, follows a predictable mathematical pattern. For him, it wasn't about guessing or feeling. It was about pure calculation.
So where did he lay out these master calculations? The source material points to one specific place: his unusual 1927 novel, The Tunnel Through the Air. The claim is that it's not just a story. The characters, the plot, this big war in the book, it's all a code for his most advanced trading tools and cycle theories.
And that leaves us with a pretty mind-bending thought, doesn't it? What if the final key to cracking the markets isn't in some dusty trading manual, but it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time, encoded inside a story that's almost 100 years old? It's a wild idea, and definitely something to think about.